life, and I just want to tell you that if you will press into it, he will teach you something through it. But you have to believe, because anything can grow in an atmosphere of faith. See, I believe that God is shifting something around this area. Anybody heard about the San Andreas what? Fault. What happens on the San Andreas Fault? Earthquakes, right? You see, sometimes God sets up shifts, right? And so it's like whenever you are out in the ocean and you're trying to boogie board. See, big guys like me, they don't boogie board very well. We just kind of like go straight down to the bottom. But I've tried to boogie board in the name of Jesus, all right? And so we get out there and I'm trying to perceive the biggest wave because they call me Big Germ for a reason, right? And the reason I try to perceive it because I want to ride it at the right time and I want it to carry me all the way in. And I believe that God is setting something up in Johnstown that's going to shake. It's going to shake all the way through our region. It's going to shake down into West Virginia. It's going to shake up into New York. It's going to shake into Ohio. Because you know what happens when there's small shifts, right? See, that's what happens with an earthquake. See, these plate tectonics, they start to push against each other. They start to push against each other. And there's pressure. And some of you are feeling pressure tonight. Some of you have been feeling a little bit of pressure. You have the Holy Spirit in this ear and whatever's been bothering you in this ear. And I want to tell you that tonight there's going to be a little bit of a shift, right? Because whenever there's a small shift, there's a big shake. All right? I just said something. You better write it down, right? It was whenever there's a small shift, there's a big shake. And I believe that some of you, a shift in your heart tonight may shake your family for the better. Some of you have been waiting for your mom and dad to get their act together. And the truth is, God wants to shift your heart tonight. So that when you go back into that environment, you bring the change that you can see. Right? And see, I believe that tonight there's going to be a shift. And I believe that Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and I believe that Commonwealth Township High School is directly on a spiritual fault line tonight. I believe he's going to shift something. I believe that there's going to be a little bit of shaking in the atmosphere. And here's the thing, if you build a house along a fault line, you better have a sure foundation. Because if you can't carry the weight of what God's shifting into your life, you'll drop it. But I believe tonight that some of you will shift into some foundational things in your life. And so today I want to talk a little bit about your generation. Some people call you the Joshua generation. Some call you the Solomon generation. Joshua is who we're going to talk about tonight. Solomon was King David's son, and he basically built the temple. He built what David's generation fought for, right? But we're going to talk a little bit about Joshua tonight. Because Joshua lived in a generation that not only was brought out of Egypt by Moses, one of the greatest prophets ever, some argue the greatest prophet other than Jesus. Moses brought this people that were being held captive in Egypt for many generations. He brought them out of Egypt. The Lord softened Pharaoh's heart. They went across the Red Sea and they went right into the wilderness. And Joshua was in the generation that was stuck in the wilderness. See, Moses was the guy who he would meet with God face to face. Right? When Moses met with God, they said that he would climb the mountain, and when he came down, the glory of God would be spilled on him so much that he would have to wear a veil across his face because people could tell that he was in the presence of God. What would happen tonight if you walked into your school tomorrow and you had to walk in all covering up your face because you were in the presence of God tonight? What would happen in your family when you walked in and you saw your parents, the ones that have been yelling at you all week because you keep messing up, and you looked at them and you honored them in love because you've been in the presence of God tonight? And see, Joshua, he's just Moses' aide. He doesn't even have a job description. In fact, he hasn't even been promoted to a servant yet, because when you follow Joshua all through Numbers in Exodus, you'll see that he's only listed as Moses' aide. But Joshua has a heart after Yahweh. He's not perfect because he's not Jesus. But he has a heart after God. Here's what we know about Joshua. We know that he learned from Moses. We know that he honored Moses. We know that he walked in humility. We know that Joshua was known as a lingerer. What did that mean? That meant when the glory of God showed up on the mountain, or it showed up in front of the Israelite camp. It said that after the glory had left, the cloud had left, it said that this guy Joshua, he would sit down and he would linger in the corner like this. And the reason he wanted to linger is because he didn't want to miss anything. Just in case, that wasn't the grand finale. Just in case God decided he was going to do something else new. Joshua wanted to be in the presence as long as he could be in the presence. And I believe that that's the heart that's in your generation. I believe that's the heart that's going to bring revival. I believe that your generation has been thrown away. I believe people have called you Generation Me, that they think that you're only concerned with how things affect you. I believe that you're a generation that thinks that other people think you're self-absorbed. But I also know that you're a generation that wants to see change. Like, you want to see the real stuff, right? Like, you are full of information. Like, right now we can open up our phones and you can get any information that you want. Right, just like that, within 2 seconds. But here's what you're hungry for, right? You want some truth. Like, I don't need any more information. Lord, just give me some truth. Because my Instagram filter, right? Everything's filtered anymore. But see, truth isn't filtered. Right? When God gives it to me, it's unfiltered. And you know what it does? It edifies my heart and edifies my spirit. And it springboards me forward into my destiny. How many of you tonight want to fulfill your destiny? God has called you to something. In Psalm 139, it says that he knew you in the secret place. The secret place. You know what the secret place is? That's where God formed you. That's where he knows your DNA. He knows the code to what created you. He knows why you smile when you smile. He knows the words that come off your lips before you say them. He knows